Hey guys, this is day 82. Today we got 2nd Corinthians chapter 3. Uh, I'm kind of tired right now. Could have made the video a couple hours ago, totally. But yeah, hey, just we got it done. Not that it is not that I'm treating it as a checklist, no, but I mean, we're here. So yeah. Verse 1. Are we beginning to commend ourselves again, or do we need, as some do, letters of recommendation to you or from you? You yourselves are our letter of recommendation, written on our hearts to be known and read by all. So, like the context of these two verses, basically that some people in the Church of Corinth, or like some people among the Corinthians, started to doubt Paul's authority, which is pretty wild. But as wild as that might sound, there's still people today that challenge Paul's authority, surprisingly. I think you might have an idea what group of people might do that. Um, but yeah, no, may the Lord have mercy on them. Okay. So yeah, just people were doubting Paul's authority, and I mean, of course, as reasonable people with reasonable minds, they would ask for evidence for his authority. For example, they asked for like letters of other like past leaders that would support Paul, that would support Paul's authority. The only problem here is that Paul's authority did not come from other people, from other leaders, even though yes, that even though these leaders were followers of God, were prophets, Paul's authority did Paul's authority did not come from these people, as well as the authority of those people did not come from the people before them, but the authority came from God. Because I mean, the message it is not called a message from God for anything. So yeah, again, Paul's authority does not come from other people, um, other leaders, but from God. And it would be easy to spot, or not easy, but you are able to spot whether someone's authority comes from the Lord, or if the like or if the authority comes from someone else, or yes, anyone else but God. How? With the message, with what is being preached, what is being encouraged, what also is not being preached, what is missing, what should be preached. And I mean, these are just some of the qualities or the characteristics that a message from God, uh, or from someone that like whose authority comes from God, that from someone that is spreading God's actual message. But well, just again, Paul's authority comes from God, not from other leaders. So verse 3, and you show that you are a letter from Christ delivered by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts. Such is the confidence that we have through Christ toward God. Not that we are sufficient in ourselves to claim anything as coming from us, but our sufficiency is from God. So Paul gives this another perspective that, in the context, he gives the Church of Corinth like this image that they are like this perspective that they are Christ's letter. And like, how do you mean that the Church of Corinth represent Christ's message? And how? Well, I mean, as like with their lives, with their actions, with how they worship the Lord, with what they also don't do, what they don't say. Yeah, just reflecting Christ. And by doing so, being a letter or acting as a letter from Christ. In this letter, as it says in verse 3, not written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts. That this letter is reaching, or like reaches everyone else's hearts, the hardened hearts out there, which it's a lot. I mean, nothing that the Spirit of God can't do, of course. But yeah. And not only is, I mean, Paul was just giving an example of, since it is a letter to the Corinthians, but he is also talking about you, talking about me, that we are also Christ's letter. That when we follow Christ's teachings, when we imitate Christ, when we reflect Christ, we, like, whether we speak it or not, we transmit Jesus' message. Again, with our lives, how we live, what we do, what we say, what we don't do, and what we don't say, which again is very hard to do. Yeah, it is not. It's not easy to just one day live in sin or like struggle, and then another day like go from that lifestyle to now being perfect and just um, being totally like holy, which is not really possible. Going like from that lifestyle to the other in one night. It it takes time. That's my point. That it takes time. It takes time. It takes a lot of trials. Yes, a lot of patience too. And again, since it's not written with ink, it's not. It doesn't have to necessarily, like a paper, be read. But since it's written with the Spirit of the living God, it doesn't have to be read in order to be received. It can be heard. It can be seen. Since again, we are Christ's letter. With our actions, people again see Christ's message with how we act, again, for the fourth time right now. And again, since it's not written with ink, it's written with the Spirit of the living God. It has more of course it has more power, but of course it can reach more. It's of course much more flexible. It can reach in more than one way. Uh, and yeah, verse 5 is, I mean, totally true. Uh, that not that we are sufficient in ourselves to claim anything as coming from us, but our sufficiency is from God. That nothing that we do or that like we receive comes from us, comes from our work, like ultimately. I mean, it does contribute, but it doesn't ultimately come from anything we do, but from God. Because I mean, because we rely on Him, because He gives us all we need. You know that Matthew 6:33. Yeah. Okay, so verse 6, who has made us sufficient to be ministers of a new covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. Now, if the ministry of death, carved in letters of stone, came with such glory that the Israelites could not gaze at Moses' face because of its glory, which was being brought to an end, which it means like it was temporal, will not the ministry of the Spirit have even more glory? For if there was glory in the ministry of condemnation, the ministry of righteousness must far exceed it in glory. Indeed, in this case, what once had glory has come to have no glory at all, because of the glory that surpasses it. For if what was being brought to an end came with glory, much more will what is permanent have glory. Which again, just what is temporal cannot be compared to what is eternal. Since we have such a hope, we are very bold. Not like Moses, who would put a veil over his face so that the Israelites might not gaze at the outcome of what was being brought to an end. But their minds were hardened. For to this day, when they read the old covenant, the same veil remains unlifted, because only through Christ is it taken away. Yes, to this day, whenever Moses is read, a veil lies over their hearts. But when one turns to the Lord, the veil is removed. Now the Lord is a Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And we all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. Okay, so basically, people, since they did not have uh, like the Spirit of the Lord, they did not have understanding, and they weren't like they did not have freedom nor understanding of the message in its full image that was meant to be like, spread. Which again, the Spirit is what makes us, what helps us understand, for example, God's promises, like in the new covenant, in the New Testament. All these promises that God makes to us, um, and also the promises in the old covenant, like with Noah in the ark, that the rainbow means that God's promise of never flooding the earth again, not the stuff that some people use it uh, to. Okay, so yeah, this chapter like mainly emphasizes authority in the Lord, and that the Lord is also Spirit. The Spirit is also it was the last verse. Yeah, that the Lord who is the Spirit also. Um, and this Spirit lets us understand much more, like gives us a more, oh my gosh, a much more broad understanding of God's promises, not just what we see, like uh, with our eyes, like the words, not just that, but actually understanding it, getting the full meaning of it, fully realizing this promise or promises. And since we have understanding with the Spirit, of course, freedom follows, because you're free from misunderstanding. And at least for me, like, not understanding stuff like makes me a little bit anxious, like gets me frustrated because I don't understand like certain stuff, and I feel like, chained. But with the Spirit of the Lord, uh, that lives in every single one of God's servants, we have this understanding. Yeah. And in the middle of the chapter, like in between verse 9 and 12, it like gives it mentions about the temporal and the eternal, and like the importance of not setting your mind on the temporal, which is not, again, none of it is just easy to do. It's not. Everything is much more complicated than it seems. And especially when it comes to not setting your mind on the temporal, which, like, in other words, setting your mind on the things of the world, it is really hard. Yeah. It is really hard to not set your mind on the things of the world, but also not being a, lazy person. Uh, to to work while setting your mind on the, on the eternal. And again, it's really hard. It's really hard to do this. Uh, I'm still I'm still struggling with this. As so, maybe you are. And yeah, at the end of the chapter, it emphasizes that when we have this understanding of God's promises, we are freed from anxiety, um, from worry. That not 100% free, because I mean we're still human and we're not like perfect, so we still worry about this. We can still worry. I mean a little bit about the same things, but at least we now have the solution to it. Which again, in more simpler terms, it's a you'll be just fine, don't worry. Which it may sound, simple, but it's not simple to realize. Yeah. Yeah, just remember your actions matter. Because, again, you are Christ's letter that is being reflected, transmitted to other people. So your actions matter. Yeah, this was it. This was 2 Corinthians chapter 3. Yeah. Stay blessed, stay rooted, and stay prayed up. Bye.